Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 19, Micro-Level Plans Formulation and Implementation. And we are continuing our topic issues in micro-level planning. And subtopic is question of orientation. What should be the subject matter focus in micro-level planning? Understandably, there are too many subjects to choose from, implying the ideological focus of micro-level planning. Orientation differ between the environment-centric, employment-centric, and productivity-centric approaches. The objectives may be concurrent or may offer distinct choices as one opposed to the other, which could be difficult given the imperatives of the each requirement. Eventually, choice would be a matter of value orientation of the party in power or political imperatives, like pressure and articulation with respect to demands from the internal and external resources, immediate needs. Facts should be inform values. A more flexible approach in keeping the requirements of the situation would be better suited than ideological stance. Environment as a result has been a relatively neglected area. Comparatively now, there is a better interest articulation with respect to sustainable use of natural resources, but not before the plundering reached crisis proportions. Multi-level planning is especially pertinent with regard to environmental safeguard because natural resource use has externalities which cut across state boundaries. For example, pollution on the part of one state affects agricultural productivity in another state. Hence, concreted efforts at all levels is needed for development. This issue of choice of reason for development planning has been referred earlier. The emphasis on reason is in focus, particularly to cater to the requirements of environmental protection policy. Microplanning at the district level would have no impact if the state at the macro level carries on with unscrupulous resource use. Hence, an intra-level partnership arrangement involving regions, state, district block is required for successful efforts in this regard. The emphasis is on an integrated approach where environment, human capital, formulation and industrial growth in conjunction with agricultural growth all form part of the planning process. Now let us discuss plan process requirement. Based on case studies undertaken in subcontinent countries, K.V. Sundaram outlines the basic requirements for integrated local level planning. The planning approach should concentrate on a small geographical area where required intersector linkages could be explored. The approach adopted should be area development. Plan efforts should relate to resource constraints and administrative capabilities of the area, in that it should not be beyond what is possible. Planning method adopted should be flexible and adaptable to change. It should be area specific since resource capability and requirements in different areas would be different. Case studies have brought forth that uniform application methodology has been the primary cause of lack of success in meeting objectives in different geographical areas. Accordingly, there should be better power and local administrators to reappropriate or reallocate resources as per requirements, for which financial devolution would need to be provided in requisite manner. Technically, systematic efforts would be required in the following areas: resource inventory and data collection, bringing out the present state of development, future potentials and constraints, identification of priorities of the specific area and selection of programs accordingly, decisions about coverage or spatial dimension and time frame or temporal dimension of the particular projects should be part of an integrated framework, and a perspective plan in terms of long-term vision for the area translated in terms of specific or objective targets. Stress on optimum utilization of existing manpower resources and instituting means to augmenting capacities of human capitals. Continuous assessment and audit of resources spent and available and innovative solutions to be augment the same. The technical requirement presuppose technical planning body or expertise, which would be essential prerequisites for enjoined efforts. For the same, manpower planning would need to be attempted, which envisages development of capabilities at the local level through need-based training programs for immediate requirements and long-term education through technical institutions, etc. Development in three sectors, namely agriculture, industry and services, has to be proceed conjointly with needed integration. Hitherto, programs like the IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program, have suffered because of the piecemeal approach. Financial constraints would need to be overcome as a necessary requirement given the constraints of local finance. For example, inadequate grants from the state governments. Resources could be augmented sufficiently by cutting tax evasion, better realization of areas, and cutting back non-planned expenditure on extensive government establishment, which could be controlled through containing underemployment, which is massive in India. Administrative constraints relating to lack of coordination between the various sector departments would need to be overcome through institutional delineation. Behavioral expectations with regard to informal coordination or voluntary cooperation on the part of officials and non-officials involved in various governmental and non-governmental organizations may not be sufficient. Presently, coordination is almost totally dependent on personal relations of the district chief with the departmental heads. For that purpose, micro-level plan would be crucial, since it would be the instrumentality to establish formal modalities for needed coordination. With role definitions unequivocally specified and jurisdictions scope delimited, there would be less scope for role confusion or ambiguity on part of department officials. Administrative reforms in the sense of greater autonomy to the district chief to impart better cohesion to the exercise would be desirable. Integration refers mainly to securing the multiple objectives of more production, more employment, and more equitable distribution, and most importantly, sustainable development, which necessitates factoring environmental concerns in development policy. Coordination can be secured through planning and monitoring developments relating to impact of decisions on related sectors. It implies a paradigm shift from sectoral and departmental approach towards area development or beneficiary oriented approach. Now let us discuss the activities involved. In the planning phase, the following steps are to be taken in sequence: formulation of a measure objectives, compilation of data, assessed needs and strategies, assessment of resource allocation strategies, articulation of fresh allocations where perceived necessary, incremental adjustments as per constraints, etc. Identification of interlinkages among projects and programs, organization and management to ensure bridging up of implementation gaps, assessment of resources for allocation, creation of links between the district plan, the regional and state development plan. Hence, the chief activities involved in local plannings are needs analysis, information collation regarding geographical and socio-economic data such as soil type, land use pattern, occupational profile, climate, human, natural and livestock resources, etc. Resource strategizing, priority ordering, setting up implementation mechanism and evaluation. Now let us wind up the session. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcast.